Welcome back to the Marlins here on OOTP 26. As you can see, we have arrived here at the offseason. Our season score is in 1040. Fantastic score. Major League Baseball champions, 2027 World Series winners. Beautiful stuff. Craig Finn gets his first championship here as GM of the Marlins. Just do the slow scroll through the players that are on this list who got rings. That is everybody who appeared in at least one game. Another thing that we should point out here is that we have, for a third season in a row, on our roster, on our organization, has been the AA Southern League MVP. Year one, it was Wilfredo Lara, who was our third baseman this year. Year two, it was Ashedri Vargas, who's going to be our left fielder next year and had a big World Series for us. And then in year three, it was not Dylan Head or Brendan Summerhill. It was a surprise one, PJ Morlando. Wasn't even really on my radar, if I'm to be completely honest here. He was a guy who we called up the AA or high A last year. He had like a decent year, but I never thought this guy was going to be like anything special, but he put together a 4.5 WAR season at age 21 here with the Pensacola Blue Wahoos and wins the Southern League MVP. So he puts up that 4.5 WAR. Behind him was Dylan Head with a 6 WAR. I personally would have given it to Dylan Head. Just, makes sense to me. Puts up a 6 WAR, has a 7 ZR in right field. He might be our starting center fielder in the big leagues this upcoming season. Or, even Brendan Summerhill, I think, had a better season than Orlando with a 5 WAR, triple-digit WRC plus, 25 home runs. He's a damn good player. He also could be a starting center fielder for us at some point. But instead, you get PJ Morlando, who did put up a better hitting season, a 140 WRC plus, as opposed to like the 115-ish range those other guys were in. But I'd imagine he was not good defensively. He caught. They were catching him. This is the second time in this series where he's played a position that he shouldn't be playing. So he mainly caught for Pensacola this year. And in year one, he was playing a lot of center field for some reason in Beloit and also in Jupiter. What is with... I figured now that he was a good left fielder that I was able to take him off of force starting and using him in left field, but no, apparently the AI is fine just catching this guy at the AA level. And I was curious to see how our AA team did this year. So if you look at it, you would think with all those guys, we did not have the greatest... I mean, we're above 500 team in AA, but it wasn't like we had the greatest season. We had some decent pitchers down there, AJ Russell got hurt. I guess, maybe... I don't know. Noel Meyer put together a decent season. Juan De La Cruz had a good year. 26 starts at AA. Ethan Darden did not have a good year. AJ Russell didn't really either. Tucker Biven got called up and was good. A couple guys in the bullpens that had decent years, like Taegon Yang, however you say this guy's name. It's probably Yang. I could have sworn we had more arms than this. Probably some guys who retired. Oh, yeah. A lot of our guys in AA retired. None of these guys were dudes that we ever really thought were going to make it to the big leagues, but they were dudes that we just had in the organization to fill spots. Dale Stanovich, though, shout out from Rutgers. Crazy lefty. And then as far as our new budget, we have $202 million will be our budget. I believe that is slightly down from this past season. So it was $200 million flat in 2026 after a big increase from 2025. And then it was 204, and now this year it's going to be 202. So, we win the World Series, and now our budget goes down $2 million. And you can see, as it stands right now, we don't have a lot of spending money. That's definitely something we're going to have to figure out this offseason, because we do want to possibly extend a guy or two. We'll probably raise this price to be 37, something like that. You look at the salary page, we've got 3 more years of Kyle Tucker. Each year does go down a bit, $2 million per year. Luis Robert is a guy that we are going to be looking to trade and get out from under this offseason. Sean Manaea is expiring. Ian Happ is expiring. Michael King has 1 more year guaranteed. We would probably pick up his team option for that season, I would imagine, if depending on how he does this season. Jeff Hoffman, obviously, we're not going to be bringing back. Derek Hill is somebody who is owed $8 million in arbitration this season, which is why we were planning on playing either Dylan Head or Summerhill in center field. So Derek Hill gets his championship. He had his late career resurgence, but he is not going to be a member of the Florida Marlins this upcoming season. Braxton Garrett is also somebody that we are going to be looking to move on from, whether that's non-tendering or whether that's trading. Either or. I would prefer to trade both these guys. I do think that Hill actually has some value, whereas Garrett I don't think is going to have too much value. Max Meyer is somebody we might look to move on from as well. $5 million as a super stopper sort of player is not really what I'm looking to lock into, especially as a guy who has been overperforming his FIP the past couple seasons. Or I guess last year he had a decent FIP, but this year, his FIP was not the best. It was league average, slightly below league average FIP, as in slightly below, slightly worse than league average, I should say. Has he also always been a 2-pitch guy? Has he lost pitches? He had to have lost pitches, because he has not always been a 2-pitch guy. Yeah, that's got to be different. It doesn't say in his scouting report, but he definitely lost pitches at some point. Because he was not a 2-pitch pitcher when we started this. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, Max Meyer is somebody we're going to be probably looking to move off of this offseason as well. Anthony Bender's expiring. Obviously, we have Brooks Lee signed long-term. Andrew Nardi is somebody we are probably going to be looking to move off of at $3.2 million, entering his... He'll be late 29 by the time the season starts. He's extreme fly ball. His movement has gone down. He has had back-to-back really good seasons for us, but do we want to pay him $3.2 million? Probably not. I still believe that Yuri Perez can tap into some of his starter potential. I just feel like something is there that's untapped from him with the 35 stamina, with this profile, especially at these prices that we'll probably try to extend him long-term, to be honest. Not long-term, but maybe buy out a year or two of free agency, because he's only 24 years old. So that's something I would be definitely interested in doing, is getting maybe something like this. We'll play around with that. Ortega is somebody who has not really pitched much for us since acquiring him from the Mets. He's also set to make $1.4 million at age 31, and he actually has 2 options. Okay, so he has some options. We might look to still bring him back for another season because he has 2 options. Peguero, though, definitely somebody we are looking to move on from at $2.2 million, age 30. He has no options, and we could definitely get similar production, similar type numbers, similar type profile from somebody in our organization or somebody we signed to a league minimum contract. And then as far as the rest of this group here, one interesting thing that we have to figure out this year is the shortstop situation. So Starlin Caba, ideally, he is our starting shortstop just as a guy with his defense. I like him. He's performed well enough to where I would be fine trotting him out as the starting shortstop. The only thing that makes me hesitate is that he is fragile. So I don't think I want to commit to that. He's still making league minimum for next season, as well as Max Acosta, but then they both are going to go into their arbitration years following this next season. So we might just run them back both at league minimum, and then next offseason trade one of them. Because once again, I still believe that Acosta can tap into something here with the BABIP and the gap power, and maybe this offseason we try to tap into some power as well in the dev lab. Especially since they're both slotted to make league minimum this upcoming season. I think it would be smart to just have them both on the roster again, but I do think that next offseason we are going to have to make a decision on which one we keep and which one we trade. There's also Cody Funderburk, who has been a solid pitcher for us the past couple seasons, but he's 30. He has no more options. He's slotted to make into arbitration 1.6. So he's into his arbitration year, so he's somebody we will either look to non-tender or trade as well. Brian Hudson, also among that mix of guys who are hitting their 30s, have no options. And, I've always talked about how I like to have my bullpen be guys who, one, can give us multi-inning spots in the bullpen, 2, guys that are optionable, just very flexible. Hey, this guy's not doing well, you're down to AAA, this guy's coming up. And I like to have a good mix of guys that we can have that have options, and if I can have options and can give us multi-inning relief. But, if they have options and they can't give us multi-inning relief, at the very least, I like the guys to have options. So basically, the bullpen is going to look quite a bit different this season, I would say. There's going to be probably a few spots that are going to be looking quite a bit different this year. Ronnie Mauricio is somebody we're going to have to figure out. He only has 3 more years of team control, coming off this very, very weird season where he had a down year offensively in the regular season, but then, started figuring things out as the season went on, as we've talked about. In July and August, he was good. September and down the stretch, he was not. But then in the playoffs, as we know, he was one of our best hitters, won the MVP in the DS and the CS. And then he had a good I think he had an okay World Series, but overall, 177 WRC plus in the postseason through 74 plate appearances, 7 doubles, plate appearances, 7 doubles, 5 home runs, and 12 ribbies, triple-digit OPS. I mean, he was really, really good. So Ronnie Mauricio, we'll look to he'll be on the roster next season. But if he puts together another regular season like this, we might have to look to trade him. And then we're also going to have to figure out what to do with Christian Scott. We'll probably extend him through at least these 3 seasons because I do think that he is a valuable member of our rotation. I think there's a little bit more he could tap into as a 50 potential, 50 overall starter. I think there's a little bit more juice he can give us. Maybe some more innings pitched as well. Let loose on the hook here. Maybe bump this up to be something like that. We will look into something like that in this offseason. And then there's some other guys that we're looking to move on from probably, like Connor Norby. Is his time in Miami has that come to an end? He's only got one option. Doesn't really have a positional home. Probably somebody we might look to get rid of. Graham Pauley. He had a down year this year. Do we move on from him? He has 2 option years left, and him and Norby are still slotted to make the minimum. So, they might be worth keeping around because they do have options, and they're making minimum, like I said. So if they have value, maybe we'll look to trade them, but if not, we might just keep them around because they're making league minimum. And then there are some guys that we might want to look to extend this offseason as well. Somebody like Wilfredo Lara is somebody who I really like his outlook. Our scout really likes him. He had a decent postseason for us, as I think he did. Yeah, 100% had a decent postseason for us. I think that he is our long-term third baseman, so I would not be opposed to extending him long-term, buying out these arbitration years, maybe a year or 2 of free agency as well. He's still only 23 years old. And, now that we've got P.J. Orlando coming off the Southern League MVP, we might have to seriously consider this guy to be like a left fielder for us at some point. Maybe like a bench bat, maybe a first baseman. We'll have to see because this guy, he's played his way into our plans. And then you see here, we look at our player development and our prospect list. A lot of these guys are in rookie ball or in A ball or in the international complex. A lot of them are quite far away from the big leagues, but we do have guys like Vargas who are ready to rock and roll. Dylan Head, we've talked about. Orlando, who we just showed. Summerhill. He could be on the big league roster at some point this season. He'll probably start the year in AAA, though. You got some more rookie ball guys. You've got Jacob Miller, who is an interesting starting prospect. He could possibly be in our rotation at some point this upcoming season. He is very early into his year 24. He tore his labrum, unfortunately, in August, but he was putting together a decent year between AA and AAA this season for us. He is a guy that in real life they took in the second round out of a high school in Baltimore. And he was actually 3rd in the Outstanding Pitcher Award in the Southern League this season. So, 50 potential, definitely somebody to consider at some point for our big league staff this upcoming season. And then you keep scrolling, there's a couple more rookie ball guys, and there's Gabriel Gonzalez, who's on the 40-man. He's somebody who's an interesting bat for us at the big league level, possibly, maybe depth. We'll have to see. We still have Victor Mesa in the system. He's 26. His bat looks like it could be pretty decent. He also gives you like some versatility to be like a really good corner outfielder and can spot you a start here or there in center field as well. One guy who kind of came out of nowhere this offseason was Cam Clayton. He was just somebody who was not on my radar at all. You could see he wasn't really doing anything he was like in rookie ball in 2025, in A ball. 2026 that wasn't really ever noticing him. And then this year, he started an A ball and was just like, it felt like every week he was getting player of the week. Like he popped up player of the week, player of the week, player of the week. And I was like, who is this guy? So he was raking at A, obviously, because he's way too old for that level. So I called him up to double A, and he was really good there as well. And, he's only a 45 potential right now, but he looks like he could give you like a really good second base. He's a high leader player. He looks like he could have a good BABIP gap power combo if all this develops. So definitely an interesting player to keep our eye on from Westland, Oregon. Now that I'm saying that, now maybe I have looked at this guy before, because Westland, Oregon, that is the home of Peyton Pritchard and Chael Sonnen. But yeah, this guy will be starting the year in AAA. I do believe I already have him locked. I do indeed. And then it appears this year we only have 3 players on loan to the Arizona Fall League, which is Jacob Miller. Even though he's hurt for some reason, he's in the Arizona Fall League. Jacob Berry, who is like a decent switch-hitting bat, older guy. He's almost 27. He might be 27. I'm not sure the exact math. He might be 27 by opening day. Hasn't ever really popped off for us. Hasn't really played too much in AAA. But, if this power develops, he could be a possibly interesting corner infield bat, mainly just first base, though. And then Peyton Eels, who we've talked about, he came up and was good for us in the big leagues this season in very limited time, and he's also been very good in AAA for us for now 3 seasons in a row. And then, some possible names that we have in AAA that could factor into our team this season. We had Luis Heel on our AAA staff this year. Could we possibly bring him back and let him roll as a reliever for us? I would never start him, but he could be a multi-inning reliever with this 80-grade fastball slider combo that he has. He does have no options, so we would have to, we would have to re-sign him. I guess I just offered him a minor league extension. Did I just do that? I did. I offered him a minor league extension. We'll see if he accepts that. I was just going to see what he needed, but I guess we're doing that, and he'll probably say no to that if I had to imagine. Nigel Belgrave here could be a possible option in our bullpen this upcoming season. He's only a 40, but I still think that he could be a very good major league reliever because he still can tap into the 60 stuff. That stuff is already 50 with 50 movement to pair, a 75 slider to pair with a 55 sinker, both with potential upward trajectory. It's the only thing about him is that his control is definitely a bit iffy, but he could be a big swing and miss guy. He did struggle a bit with the ERA this season in AAA, but that was, defense. He plays a big part in that. He was still pretty good with the FIP, although it was a 5 FIP, which was apparently better than league average. So, the hitting environment must be pretty insane in AAA. And then we've also still got Curtis Mead. He's down in AAA for us. He was good down there this season. Remember, we picked him up off waivers. He's another guy with no options, though, but currently not on the 40-man, but we will have to put him on the 40-man if we want to protect him from the Rule 5 if we decide to bring him back. Oh, and then the other thing that we need to figure out this offseason is Agustin Ramirez. As we know, he is starting to get paid here in arbitration. He has $5.8 million this upcoming season, 11.1, and then 17.1. So, he's going to want a pretty penny here if we give him a long-term deal, like let's say 8 years. Yeah, he wants like $23 million, which is still below 30. We can't afford this right now. We can, but we'll definitely workshop this a bit because we want to keep him around. It's more fun to keep him around. He's a 3-time All-Star in the 3 seasons we've had. He was a cornerstone of our team. He was the World Series MVP this past postseason. We've got to keep him around. He's our catcher. He's our franchise catcher. We just have to. And we have also gone ahead and added our 10 players here to the development lab. The first one is Dylan Head. We are trying to improve his plate discipline. Pretty self-explanatory. All the rest of this is already green. We would like to see tap into this 50i and possibly even get a potential boost. That would be fantastic to pair with his speed profile to get on base. Steal some bags. Let your speed wreak havoc on the bases. Then we also have a Shedry Vargas who we're trying to tap into his power. Right now it's 45 with a 55 potential. If we can turn this guy into like a serious power hitter, that would be fantastic. And then we have Brendan Summerhill, who we could have gone with multiple different things with him, but we're just trying to tap into the gap power. Just feel like it was one of the easiest ones to go for because BABIP and power are both hard ones. So we just went with gap power to see if we could get like a cheeky little big potential boost on that. Noble Meyer, we're trying to increase his pitch movement. He's an extreme fly ball guy. If we could possibly get his movement up potential, that would be fantastic. So we're trying to do that. Christian Scott, we're trying to improve his control because he's got 65 control potential, 50 control currently. So if we can get some of this into like the elite control range, that would be amazing for us. Then we have Brooks Lee, already like a superstar level player for us. If we can turn his gap power into something even better, 50 double player, I mean, fantastic. That would be incredible for us. So Brooks Lee, we're trying to tap into that. Max Acosta, I talked about how we are looking to improve his power. We are doing that. Generate bat speed. If we can get this power with like a Juan Padilla type boost, that would help us a lot. Starlin Caba, strength and conditioning. Self-explanatory. He's fragile. If we could get this up a bit, make him a little less injury prone, keep him on the field, that would help us out big time. Then we have a couple pitchers in Yuri Perez trying to improve his control. He has 50 with 55 potential. Felt like that was just the, if there was a thing I could just very easily just go and try to improve his stuff, I would try to do that. But instead, we're going to go with the control, try to turn him into a pinpoint guy, and then just hope the stuff can also develop alongside it. So he, ideally, he's very good control with good stuff. And then Juan De La Cruz also trying to improve his control, coming off a really good season in Double-A Pensacola in their rotation. He's probably going to start the year in AAA next year, if I imagine. And, maybe he ends up in the staff at some point. He looks like he could be a decent piece for us if he keeps developing, especially if he could possibly get a control boost here in the Dev Lab. So we just went and did a bunch of shopping of some of our players here. When it comes to a lot of these guys, they really don't have much trade value. Like Garrett doesn't really have any. Even Max Meyer doesn't really have any trade value. People just aren't interested in a 28-year-old reliever who's going to make $5 million in arbitration this year. So we might have to non-tender Max Meyer. As unfortunate as that is, that might be the best course of action for us because I don't think we want to pay him $5 million. It's just simple as that. We've gone ahead and offered some extensions to guys, which we will get into here in a bit. But we've also shopped. So I shopped Garrett. I shopped Meyer. Both of them have no trade value. And then you can just see here that I just shopped Derek Hill. A lot of interest in Derek Hill. People love a guy with 70 range who's put together, he has gone down the past 3 seasons, but people think he could be a damn good player. He's coming off a World Series winning season. He was damn good in the playoffs, in the World Series. He was good in the World Series, not the overall postseason, though. And, so, teams like this guy, he has value. And you can see there's a lot of green ink that we're seeing here on this page. Nobody really interesting on the D-backs, though, not the Braves. The Orioles, not really. The White Sox, not really. The Cubs, the most interesting guy they're giving us would be like Porter Hodge, who is an interesting reliever who could possibly give you some starter options too as 45 control. But, not really the number one guy we want to go after here, but he is an option. Reds, not really anybody. The Guardians, too expensive going after guys like this. Manzardo coming off an injury and projected to go up in money. The Rockies, no. The Tigers, no. The Astros, not really. The Royals, not really. The Angels are offering George Klassen, who is interesting. University of Minnesota guy, big-time stuff, big-time 3-pitch mix here. Fastball, curveball, cutter, all could be 75 to 80 potential. Coming off a not great year in the big leagues, where he was in the bullpen, wasn't really that great in the minor league this past couple seasons either. But this profile is really solid. He could be a good starter, especially if we get sort of like a possible dev lab boost in the control. Honestly, if we would get this guy, we would probably remove somebody from our dev lab and then put him in there instead. So the Angels, definitely, they've got an interesting offer. I would probably look throughout their system to see if we could add some other people onto it, but Klassen, definitely interesting. But the Dodgers, well, we won't get the Dodgers right away, but the Brewers don't really have anything interesting they're offering. Some minor league guy has like a 45 potential, not really catcher. This guy's like whatever. He is from Miami, but still not really interested in him. Zach York, Nick York's brother. He could be interesting, but not really top of my list here. The Twins have some names here. Guys like Cameron Cawley, looks like he could be a decent second baseman, but we don't really need a second baseman. He could play in the outfield too. He's probably more interesting than I gave him credit for, so he could be an option to pick up here. Tanner Hall, don't really understand. Like, his ratings are pretty decent. He's hit his ceiling. It looks like he's coming off a 3-WAR year in the Minnesota starting rotation. His first year in the big leagues, 28 starts, gave them really solid innings. Where did they get this guy? He was a 4th-round pick in 2023 out of Southern Mississippi. Okay. So I definitely saw him pitch in a regional or something somewhere. But, yeah, could be interesting pickup. Him, Cameron Cawley are both interesting. Luke Keyshaw, he's interesting too. So the Twins have some dudes that were definitely interesting. The Yankees, not really. This Jay Savina guy came up, and I think the Braxton offer, he was like the only guy that was interested in Braxton Garrett. So he could be interesting in that deal, but I don't think I would have traded Hill for him. The Mets don't really have anything interesting. It's like Canario, who I guess has been good in AAA, but I don't think we need another corner outfielder. The Phillies are offering some guys who are like a bit more expensive than I would like. I guess this Duran guy. Okay, he's interesting. Yeah, he's interesting. Brock Jones, still league minimum. He could be interesting too. But I think I like our current outfielders we have more than Brock Jones. And then there's not really anything else that stood out to me as we're just quickly scrolling through this. Yeah, but the thing I wanted to bring up was the Dodgers offer. So you could see here, obviously we're not going to be trying to get Dustin May at this deal. But then, they got some dudes here. And the Dodgers are a team that we all know has guys that they just kind of stash in AAA and kind of get lost there. They've traded for Hurston Waldrop from Baltimore. So the Braves traded him to Baltimore along with Grant Holmes for Heston Kjerstad, who is in Atlanta, kind of underachieving. And then Baltimore traded him to the Dodgers in return for Edwin Diaz. So Edwin Diaz is in Baltimore now. He has been really good. And so the Dodgers had Hurston Waldrop this year. He was not good for them. He underachieved quite a lot in their bullpen. He wasn't even really good in AAA. But I have to believe in this profile. Our scout loves him. I think this could be incredible. He still has one option year. He's still multiple years of league minimum. He doesn't even have a full year of major league service yet. And then there's also Bobby Miller, who also has one more year. I guess he's going to $1.3 million, so he's still pretty cheap. I'm very tempted to do this. We're losing a lot of guys from our bullpen and our rotation this season. Manaya's walking into free agency. We might have to non-tender Max Meyer. We've got a bunch of bullpen guys who are walking. So I think that our best course of action here would be to try to get some combination of Bobby Miller and Hurston Waldrop. I think that's the smart business play here. Now, would they want to give us both of those guys? Probably, if I had to guess, probably not. So we added Waldrop, Bobby Miller. Yeah. He's not sure if he wants to do it, but we could add somebody in to make it work. Like, we could give them Braxton, we could give them Funderburk, Garrett, Dax Fulton, Joe Mack even. I'd be willing to give up Mesa. This Visa guy who he picked out of indie ball in last offseason. I think he's interesting, though. Who is Grant Shepherdson? This guy's from Colorado? Crazy. He was a 5th-round pick in 2024. He's never really done much in the minors, but for whatever reason, he just keeps getting pluses in the scouting. So, yeah. Now a guy on my radar. We will be manually doing things with him throughout the system. But yeah, Derek Hill and like Connor Norby maybe? Or Mesa? I think I'm more willing to give them Norby or Joe Mack Dax Fulton I probably want to keep just because he still has an option. He'll probably end up back on the 40-man now that we need some more guys in the mix here for us. A Marion Boyd could be interesting to give them. He's like a decent fielding center fielder. Honestly, I think Norby might be the move. Give them Derek Hill and Connor Norby, and we get Waldrop and Bobby Miller. I think that's the move, man. I think that's the move. Maybe we try to talk them into something else, too. Like this guy was in the offer, Turso, or Nelius from Mexico. He was in the offer in real life, plays for the Padres. 2 option years. Lefty-righty guy. Not really ever going to play. The thing is, he has no positional home here. He'd be a bad first baseman and a bad corner outfielder, so I don't think we want to pick him up. If we added anything else, honestly, it would probably just be like another arm. If we could squeeze an arm out of them. Like somebody who they have to add, like this guy. Absolutely this guy. Noah Davis, no, he's 30. Emmett Sheehan was in the offer originally. I don't know if I want to pick up an extreme fly ball guy, even if he did go to Boston College and he's from Connecticut. I don't think we want to do that. Also, since when are they the Comets? They're the Oklahoma City Comets now? When did that happen? But would they give us this guy? He's not on their 40, man. Would they oh my god, they would just straight up do that. Could we squeeze anything else out of him? Jackson Ferris? A fragile guy in Double-A who's 26, extreme fly ball, but could possibly be something. Peyton Martin, extreme fly ball. Prankster, leader, high baseball IQ. They would just straight up do. I mean, we could just gut their not gut, like, but we could get some seriously interesting arms from them. Yeah, this guy was a 17th round. This is just such a classic Dodgers development thing. They got him in the 17th round, and now he looks like he could be a dude. Yeah, we're gonna add Peyton Martin onto this, and we're just gonna do this. Derek Hill and Connor Norby go to the Dodgers, and we get Hurston Waldrop, who could be like a seriously big-time pitcher for us. He'll have some control issues with the 45 control, but you know, I think in our system we could make this guy work. Bobby Miller, self-explanatory. They've just never really figured him out. He was bad for them this past season. He's like a AAA guy for them. He's almost 29 years old. And then Peter Hubick, 25-year-old. He'll be like 26 by the time opening day comes around. He's been good in the minors for them. He was a 3rd-round pick in 2021. Out of Baltimore high school. Peyton Martin from a Georgia high school. Yeah, we're just going to get 4 pitchers from the Dodgers here, and we're going to give them Derek Hill and Connor Norby. Boom, that's the deal we're doing. Bang, right there. Fan interest decreases notably. We had to have expected that. He's a very popular player here, but Derek Hill, you served us well. Hopefully this deal is going to serve us well as well. Serve us well as well. That's just, that's great English right there. So we have gone ahead and offered a bunch of different extensions here. You can see them all on the screen here. First one was Ronnie Mauricio. We did a 2-year, $5.15 million total extension. I think we can see if we go here. No, we can't. Okay, well, so it's 2 years, average 2.575. It's not both years 2.575. It's basically just a little bit less than his projected arbitration for both those 2 years. And then Christian Scott, 3 years. We're buying out his arbitration years. All 3 of them are slightly below than the projected arbitration numbers. Bobby Miller, we offered a $1.25 million deal, which is below than his expected arbitration. Agustin Ramirez, we offered a 7-year, $103 million contract, which is an average value of $14.7 million. A little bit more than that, but some years are more, some years are less. It goes up as it goes on. Some of his free agency years are like $20 million. It's less than like his first demand. So, guy wants to be here in Miami, so we're taking advantage of that. Obviously, once they sign the contracts, I will go in and show you guys the actual contracts, how they are year by year. Yuri Perez, same deal with him. We're trying to basically get really, really good value out of him for like a seriously low amount of money. I mean, 5 years, $16.95 million is just like stealing Yuri Perez if he turns out to be what I think he's should be. So we'll see how that goes out. Will Warren, we want to bring him back for 1 year at $2.3 million, and then Wilfredo Lara at 8 years, $46.25 million, because we want him to be our long-term third baseman. Another guy that I forgot to mention was Liover Peguero. We already talked about Elvis Peguero and how we're not bringing him back this season, but Liover Peguero was the guy we claimed off waivers from Minnesota at the start of the season, and he was a pretty decent backup infielder for us. I do like his bat. I like that he has 65 range. I like that he can play all 3 infield positions decently well. Not really in the outfield, though. So I think he could be an interesting guy to bring back at only $1.7 million, but we will have to see how things shake out because he has no options. So we would be locking ourselves into him on the Major League roster. And if we do that, then it would be like, where does Kaba play? Does Kaba end up as just another infielder? What would be the situation there? So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it shakes out. But Peguero could be back for us next season. Oh, and then also, we have gone in and we've removed Noble Meyer and Juan De La Cruz from our development lab, and we have added in Bobby Miller and Hurston Waldrop as options for us. Bobby Miller trying to improve his control. Could have gone with multiple different things. I thought about improved secondary pitch. I thought about improved movement. We just want to go with the control here, see if the rest of the stuff can tap into his other ones, because he looks like he could be crazy if all this develops for him. And then Hurston Waldrop, increased pitch movement. Feel like that was pretty self-explanatory. He has possible 65 movement with 70 home runs allowed. We would like to see him tap into that. So that's what we're going for here with Waldrop and Bobby Miller in our player dev lab. So when it comes to shopping Luis Robert Jr., there's not too much interest out there. He's coming off a season where he did put up a 3 WAR, but it was slightly underachieving at the bat. I'm not totally against maybe bringing him back, but also at the same time, I am kind of looking to not bring him back because I just don't want to pay the $25 million. And then, Vargas came out of nowhere for us this season. He's going to be our left fielder. We've got Summerhill down in the minors. We've got Gabriel Gonzalez. We've got Drew Gilbert. We've got all these guys who we like in left field just as much, if not more, than Luis Robert Jr. And those guys are making significantly less. So basically, the way I'm looking at this is we can do one of two things. One, we can ship him off to the Minnesota Twins, who would give us somebody like this Andrew Morris guy in the bullpen who, does he have options? He has one option. Or somebody like Austin Martin, or like some combination of these late 20s minor league sort of depth guys who could come in and help us. Or we could do like an expiring contract for an expiring contract swap, like a 1-year deal for a 1-year deal swap. Josh Naylor come in and be our first baseman. That could possibly be something we could do. Now, he is coming off a year where he was a decent bat. The year before, he was not a good bat. The year before, he was like a very league average bat. Has not done what he does in real life. He has not hit 30 home runs in this universe. But he's a veteran bat. He could come in and play first base for us, because if we look at our projected team here, this is what we're looking at right now to be our team. So Ramirez would catch, Lee at second, Lara at third, Acosta short, Vargas in left, Head in center, Tucker in right, Mauricio DH. And then first base is open right now because Graham Pauley struggled for us. I think he's lost that job. He's still going to be in the team, but he's lost that job. De Los Santos, I don't know if we want to play him every day at first base. Could he possibly play first base for us? Sure. We could absolutely go the route where we go, Robert gets traded for like a bunch of depth pieces and we get like quantity in the system with a bunch of like optionable players. And that's totally an option for us, where Davison De Los Santos plays first base every day and we get the 65 power in our lineup and see if he can, really break out and hit like 30 home runs for us. And that's totally an option. Or we could go and trade for Josh Naylor, which, if we look at Josh Naylor, like we just saw, his thing is mainly not striking out. He's not a big power hitter. It's not that intriguing to me. He's not great offensively either. He's an outspoken personality class. I just don't think we want Josh Naylor. So the more I'm talking this out, the more I'm like, I think we might just be going the route of trying to just get a bunch of depth pieces from the Twins, or maybe trying to manufacture one with somebody else, because I just don't think that any of these other offers are really that enticing. There's nothing really here that stands out to me, like, the Braves trying to dump off Matt Olson's contract, the Angels trying to dump off Mike Trout, who is apparently a bad first baseman now and is wrecked. And then if I go like multiplayer package, I'm pretty sure there's not anything out there that's anything more interesting. Like the Giants are trying to pass off Jung-Hoo Lee's contract to us. Not interested in that. Neither am I interested in Kyle Harrison. Wade Meckler is interesting, but not that interesting. Obviously, we're not going to take on these two contracts of the Yankees. The Mets trying to dump off Naylor and Canario, so that's interesting. But I still think I probably prefer see, they're trying to give us Joe Ryan here. I'm not interested in Joe Ryan, but we could absolutely get something that's like a bunch of decent depth pieces from the Twins. The Rangers are trying to give us Wash JT Realmuto and Blaine Crim, no thank you. Cardinals trying to give us Arzuna, Liberatore, and Danny Jansen, no thank you. Matt Olson, no thank you. And yeah, that's all there is. So I think the Twins are the way to go here, unless there's a prospect package that somebody has that's interesting. Like the Twins. The Twins here. 45 potential guy. Then a couple 40 potential guys who really aren't interesting, but yeah. I think the Twins are the team you want to go for here, so we're just going to go trade away player. And it's like, yeah, I can see why they want a left fielder. They could even play him in center field, probably. They could probably play, push this guy to left, put Robert in center field. Looks like they're playing Buxton in right, even though he's not good anymore in rect. They got Emmanuel Rodriguez up in the big leagues now. So yeah, they could definitely use a center fielder, because Robert can definitely give you some center field. So they could definitely use him on the team. So it makes sense that they would be interested in picking up Luis Robert Jr. And then Austin Martin is interesting, I will say. He has 2 option years. He's still not arbitration eligible, so he is making league minimum. He can give you a decent second base, decent third base. Shortstop potential's even 50. Obviously, you don't want him starting there, but he could spot you some games. And then he has 55 range in the outfield, so probably not good enough to play outfield in Miami. He's also a ground ball hitter, which we don't love. But, he's a decent enough player to where he could be interesting. I feel like I've said interesting about 900 times. Gage Harrison at a Texas Tech. I don't think he's ever going to be able to play in the outfield for us. So that kind of eliminates him. I highly doubt they would be interested in Cam Cauley, because this is like somebody that Derek Hill got interest from. Yeah, we would need to add on like somebody serious, or Marion Boyd, which could be an option. But I don't think we want to do that. Because even if we do get Cauley, where's he going to play? He's going to end up being... He could be like a super utility guy for us. He expects to start. He could play... we have second base and we have third base locked up. Shortstop is either Acosta. I mean, I guess he could play shortstop. We could probably try him at shortstop. He's put together some decent numbers at shortstop. Yeah. He's more interesting at shortstop than I give him credit for. So Cauley could be an option if we want to go down that route. Jalen Nolan is interesting. I love the personality. He has some good profile looking here. 45 control. I can overlook that. Lefty guy. He's got a bunch of pluses here recently. He has 1 option left. Okay. He absolutely could be an option. 19th. He was a 19th round pick. Jesus. But I am kind of leaning Cauley, who they got from Texas. So he's a Texas Tech guy. I mean, this guy's Texas through and through. He's from Texas. He went to Texas Tech. Or no, he didn't. Never mind. There's a different guy who went to Texas Tech. He's not from Texas Tech. But he is from Texas. He got drafted by the Texas Rangers in the 3rd round. And then the Twins got him in one offseason for Brock Stewart, who is now in the Twins bullpen, looking like a dude. 36 years old. And I've clicked off his page, and now I can't. Here we go. And Ross Dunn, who's like a whatever, and they give them money, too. And it's like, going into this season, he's probably a bench player, because they've just extended Luis Garcia long term. So he's their second baseman. Their third baseman's Royce Lewis, obviously. They've extended him as well. And then they've got Carlos Correa, obviously, at shortstop. So Cameron Cawley has no spot in the infield for them. And, like, they could theoretically just play this guy in center field. So, yeah, I don't think he's as good as they think he is. So, like, I would totally be down to do, like, hey, if we get Cawley from you, I would give you Boyd, and then would you also give us Nowlin? I think this is what we're going to do. I think we're going to go Robert and Amarian Boyd to the Twins, and we're going to get Cam Cawley, Jalen Nolan, and Jacob Kisting, who is that prospect they were offering us. This guy looks like he's on the upswing. He's 24, he's almost 25, so he's a bit older. He was in high A this year, so we're going to start him in double A. He might be a fast riser through the system to the point where he could be in the big league soon. Look at his scouting here. Just a ton of pluses. The guy has just been a straight-up arrow on the trajectory here. So all of a sudden looking like somebody who could possibly be something. So we're going to add him to the mix here, along with Jalen Knoll, who can be a part of our mix as a lefty. Super good personality. And he has an option. He has an option for this upcoming season. And then Cam Cawley, who also has an option. And we are probably going to start in AAA. And throughout spring and throughout AAA, he's going to be just playing everywhere and just making it to where he plays second, third, short, left, center, right, all at like an elite level. And then once he does that, he can come up to the big leagues when we need him and just be like this ultra super utility guy who can come in and give you like a decent bat against lefties. Weird bat where he's like mainly contact against lefties with some pop, but then he has more BABIP and gap power against righties. Very odd. But yeah, I think this is what we're doing. Luis Robert Jr., he served us well. A little bit less offensively than we would have liked, but you know, he did give us a 2020 season, a 3 WAR. And we just don't want to pay the $25 million. We want to open up that money for other stuff. So we are going to pick up these 3 guys, give them these 2 guys, and yeah, that's what we're doing. Alrighty, so all those extensions I was talking about, all of them have gone through, and we're just going to quickly run through them right here. So Wilfredo Lara, 8-year extension at $46.25 million. That is year by year 1, 2.8, 4.2, 6, 7.5, 8.25, 8.25, and then a team option at 8.25 at age 31. So all well under $10 million. Love to see it. We've got him locked in long term. Then we've got Will Warren on a 1-year extension, self-explanatory, same for Bobby Miller. Whereas Yuri Perez, we are trying to just unlock this, what should be a very, very good profile with a very, very team-friendly deal. 2.6, 3.4, 3.65, and then 2 more years of 3.65, both team options. And he still would not even be 30 by the time that this deal is over if he goes through all these years. So I think that would be a complete steal if he ends up being as good as he should be. And then Agustin Ramirez, 7-year extension. It is 3.5, 7.5, 11 million, and then 2 years of 20 million flat, and then 2 years of 20 million, 0.5, and that would take him through his age 32 season in 2034. Then it's Christian Scott, 3-year deal, buying out the rest of his arbitration years at 2.55, 3 million flat, and then 4.5 for a team option for the 3rd year at age 30. And then it's Ronnie Mauricio, buying out 2 of his 3 remaining arbitration years at 2.15 and then 3 million. I believe he has 2 years left, or 3 years left in arbitration. Ronnie Mauricio, yeah, he has 1 more year after that at 6 million projected. So we'll see if we end up bringing him back for that season, but he has the next 2 years bought out at a very team-friendly price. And you'll also see that after the Luis Robert and Derek Hill trades, that our money has gone up substantially. And this is still before, we get to the free agency period when all these guys who are non-tendering or trading are gone, and Sean Manaea is officially off the books, and Bender and Ian Happ and Jeff Hoffman. So, this is still going to go up a little bit, the amount of money we have to spend. So, whether we put that in player development, whether we put it in scouting, whether we put it into some players we can sign in the offseason, we shall see. But we've got our extensions in place that we wanted to do. We got that out of the way, and now we're free to do what we want. And also, now that we have this much money, we are able to possibly go in here and possibly even bring back Max Meyer for another year and be a part of our staff if we want to bring him back at $5 million, which probably I'm leaning not much. I don't want to do because I just don't think he's that valuable at $5 million. And then if you also look at the trade value for him here, there's just nothing. It's Ethan Small. He's a 40 overall, former Mississippi State left-hander. Not interesting. He has no options. Obviously not interested in that. Multiplayer package, same deal. It's Ethan Small and Luis Arias, who stinks at this point. We're not interested in that. And then it's a prospect package of nothing. So, zero trade value for Max Meyer. And then just to show you, Braxton Garrett, shot player. He's got a couple random dude, like this dude. This dude is the one they're trying to throw in, which I might do. We might just be like, hey, we're not going to bring him back anyways, so we might as well try to get somebody like this. He has 3 option years. We would have to put him on the 40-man, but he's got good enough range to play corner outfield here. His bat could be interesting. He's more of a lefty masher here. Had a good year in AAA. So honestly, right now, we're just going to do that. We're going to go Braxton Garrett, Jace Vina, and maybe try to squeeze something else from their AAA team, like a pitcher, perhaps. Like this guy with the crazy name, Ocean Gabonia from Hawaii. What a great name. Ooh, they won't do Ocean Gabonia. I need to give them something for Ocean Gabonia. Are you serious? They like him that much? Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. But wait a minute. What do you mean make this work? You offer this to me. Look at this. Braxton Garrett single player trade. Make this work? What do you mean make this work? So what if I give you, what if I add on Ocean Gabonia here and then I submit the offer? Get back to me in a couple days. And then just to show you on these other guys, how many more shops do we have? We have 3 more shops, so we can shop Brian Hudson here. Boom. No offers on Brian Hudson. We go back to Andrew Nardi. We shop him around for a single player, any prospect or regular, just to see what the trade value is. Boom. Nothing out there for him. And then Leover Peguero, who may or may not be on the team this year, does have some options. So we could look into trading him and getting somebody who has a bit more versatility. Like, they would give us Jackson Jobe for this guy. Are you serious? I would never do that because that's just straight ripping these guys off, even if he is coming off a bad season. I'm not doing that. 100% not doing that. Judd Fabian is interesting. 70 range, 70 air, can give you elite defense at all 3 outfield positions. He's going to have some swing and miss to his game, but he's going to walk. He's going to hit for power. Judd Fabian could be an option here. He's 27, hasn't made the big leagues yet for Baltimore. Absolutely somebody we could get. All 3 options. That's very intriguing. I'm glad I shopped him because that's very intriguing. Even attaching somebody like this onto the trade could be interesting too. So yeah, Baltimore's got some interesting offer there. This guy's out with a torn elbow ligament, not interested there. Yeah, that's by far the most. We're going to do that. Judd Fabian. Give me Judd Fabian. And then also throw on... Who was that pitcher that they were being like, that they didn't want? Oh, he's in the fall league. That's why. Okay. So yeah, Judd Fabian. And then... So I can't look at him because he's in the fall league. What if I make him the main piece in the trade? Yes, I can do it that way. And then I can attach Judd Fabian, who is right here. Boom, we need to add something. Totally doable. Totally doable. I mean, this is not a huge value trade, so we'll give them this 19-year-old who's probably never going to be anything, but could possibly get some sort of dev boost super far away from the big leagues. We'll give them a 19-year-old Miguel Sandoval with Leover Peguero. We get Cameron Weston and Judd Fabian. Boom. Absolutely. Lock that in. And now Judd Fabian, all of a sudden, looking like he might be pushing Drew Gilbert for some competition for that fourth outfield spot. Also, just now realizing that it was on OSA when I was looking at this guy, so he does not... Or was it? I don't know, maybe it just updated, but he only has 45 potential according to my scat, but he does still have the possible power eye, gap power, 3 true outcomes look to him here. He's coming off a decent, okay season in Double A. They had him in Double A and Triple A last year for whatever reason, but we are going to add him to the 40-man here, and he's going to be an interesting depth piece for us on our bench. He's also from Florida, went to the University of Florida. It's a homecoming for him. And just to show you guys the amount of players that we're going to have to make decisions on for the Rule 5 this year. Now keep in mind, a decent amount of these guys are going to come off the 40-man, and we are going to have some open spots, but like Curtis Mead, if we want to keep him, we're going to have to add him, Dax Fulton, Victor Mesa, Jacob Miller, Cameron Weston, who we just traded for, Jacob Berry, Nigel Belgrave, De La Cruz, Judd Fabian, Luis Heel, Peter Hubeck, Peyton Martin, who we just traded for, Nathan Martorella, who's an interesting left-handed first baseman, Noble Meyer, Gage Miller, who's another first baseman we have in the system, PJ Morlando, Colby Shade is kind of like a whatever player, Grant Shepardson has apparently eligible for the Rule 5 draft. So, yeah, there's some names here that we're going to have to consider putting on the roster. Even Cam Clayton, Griffin Conine just not going to be in the system this year. He's just gone. He's no longer a Mariner. But, yeah, we've got some options that we're going to have to put onto here because, you know, we don't want to lose these guys. And just while I'm here, Grant Shepardson should absolutely be in Southern League. I don't want to maybe move him from the rookie straight to Southern League. He's probably too good for the Midwest League, but we will. We'll move him straight to the Southern League. Yeah, you know what? No, we'll put him in Beloit. We'll put him into Beloit to start. All right, so the Yankees got back to us for that deal that we offered them. That was Braxton Garrett for Jay Savina. And for whatever reason, even though Avina popped up in the shop player, they were not willing to do him just straight up. So we also threw on Ocean Gabonia, who, by the way, I looked up. This guy has a crazy full name. I am not even going to attempt to pronounce it. I'm just going to put it on the screen right now. This is this man's full name. And all we need to do this is to give them one of these players they list. We're obviously not going to give them King or Bobby Miller. CJ Alexander, though, I mean, sure, you want to do this for CJ Alexander? I will absolutely do that. He has fallen out of favor with us. He is no longer going to be a player that we look at. He made that one weird all-star team in the first year with us in 2025 where he came up after we acquired him in the Jonah Bride trade, and he had a decent first half in 2025. But yeah, I will absolutely just throw in CJ Alexander as part of this deal because he's just not going to be part of our team anyways. So we're going to give them Braxton Garrett and CJ Alexander, and we are going to get Jay Savina as just another sort of depth outfielder to have, along with Ocean Gabonia, who is a depth pitcher to have, who has 2 option years left. And both of these guys will have to put on the 40-man. At least I believe that is the case. Yes. So, you know, we're getting Jay Savina, but he might be a guy we might have to leave off the 40-man because we have to, you know, open up quite a few spots for some of these guys. And we have a lot of guys we want to put on the 40-man, so we'll have to see how things shake out. But, you know, right now we are acquiring both these players. So we have reached the point in the offseason where we are at the offseason awards. And what do you know? The National League MVP for a 3rd season in a row is Shohei Ohtani, and nobody else is even close to him. Shohei Ohtani this year put up a 5.8 WAR, With the hitting, led the league in WRC plus and WOBA and home runs and average OPP slugging and OPS. And then on the pitching side of things, had a 2 WAR. Not as good as he has been, but still a very productive pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And obviously that's combined with his hitting stats. So obviously just far and away the best player in Major League Baseball, Shohei Ohtani. Elly De La Cruz puts up a 7.5 WAR and doesn't even get close to being considered for the MVP. He gets, just absolutely mopped on the awards there. Brooks Lee finishes 4th in MVP voting. That's a big thing for us, coming off his 6 WAR season with a National League leading 44 doubles. Then on the American League side of thing, it was Gunnar Henderson. I knew it was going to come down to him and Colt Keith. Ended up being more so Gunnar Henderson than I thought, because Colt Keith had the 183 WRC plus, led the league in that, WOBA, average OBP, slugging, and OPS. But then Gunnar Henderson had comparable numbers offensively, led the league in ribbies, had an 8 WAR, back-to-back seasons leading the league in WAR, and also had a 7 ZR at shortstop, where the previous year he had a negative. And then because Shohei Ohtani had a down year pitching-wise, did not end up on this list, Zach Wheeler gets the Cy Young in the National League. A member of the Milwaukee Brewers, put up a very good season for them, a 5 WAR season, led the National League in innings pitched and games started. Pretty self-explanatory there. He pitched more innings than anybody. He gets the award at age 37. Still a very, very good pitcher, even at that old age. Andrew Painter and then also fellow Brewer Nestor Cortez gets 2nd and 3rd. In the American League, it was Grayson Rodriguez of the Baltimore Orioles. Pretty insane to think about, considering how the Orioles pitching goes in real life. But Grayson Rodriguez wasn't so hot season 1, then he got a little bit better in season 2, and then in season 3, at age 28, puts together a Cy Young winning campaign in the American League with a 4 WAR. Very solid season overall. Didn't lead the league in anything here, but good enough to get the Cy Young. Tarek Skubal behind him. Led the league in WAR and in FIP minus. You arguably could have given it to him. I don't know if the game factors in team records, but I believe the Blue Jays, or not the Blue Jays, the Mariners were bad, and then the Orioles won their division. So I don't know if that factored into the decision-making at all for the AI, but Tarek Skubal does finish 2nd in the award. Our manager, Clayton McCullough, gets the Manager of the Year trophy in the National League after his World Series victory. He is a guy who is probably gonna not be brought back at the end of his contract, even though he has had success, obviously. Doesn't really have much to do with him. He's just kind of a figurehead. He's, just kind of there. But he's getting to the point where he's being like, hey, I control the stealing. A lot more other things are starting to have yellow pop up. So we're just probably not going to bring him back after this next season, which will be the last year on his contract. And we will bring in a new guy who is like an unproven guy who we can just mold to our liking. Then the National League Rookie of the Year was the Cincinnati Reds' Carlos Jorge, 2 first names. Center fielder, 70 outfield range, very good defensive player, good enough offensive bat, put up a slightly below at league average WRC plus, put up 20 doubles, 20 home runs, and 20 stolen bases though, and then had a 12.3 ZR in center field for the Reds, so he gets the Rookie of the Year. Behind him were Taylor Dollard of the San Diego Padres, a pitcher, Rule 5 pick from Seattle, went to Cal Poly. He actually had a 4 WAR. Wow, 4 WAR for the Padres as a 28-year-old Rule 5 draft pick. That's crazy. Behind him, Trey Sweeney. Okay, so yeah, he barely played in 2024. He came up at the end of the season. Didn't really play at all in 2026. And then wins Rookie of the Year, or not wins, but he's top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting with the Arizona Diamondbacks as a 27-year-old in 2027. Weird trajectory there for him. In the American League, you only had 4 people getting votes, and the winner by a landslide was Kenny Gomez of the Houston Astros, a Cuban outfielder. Put up a 4 WAR for the Astros and 29 home runs. Solid player at age 22. He was a good defender in right field as well. They've got themselves a little player there over in Houston as they look to push in the next iteration of a good Astros team. And then we actually had some silver sluggers this year's folks. Despite us having a bad offense overall when it came to the team stats, we do have 2 silver sluggers, and Agustin Ramirez finally gets that silver slugger at catcher. He's got 3 straight All-Stars, but he finally gets the silver slugger award. And then at second base was Brooks Lee. Obviously, our 2 best players, they get the 2 silver slugger awards, while in the American League, I don't really care about this. Those are the American League guys on the list. In the National League, when it comes to the reliever of the year, it was Orion Kerkring of the Philadelphia Phillies, who actually finished the year on the IL with a fractured elbow. But he put together a very good season in the bullpen, followed by Justin Martinez, Danny Young of the Milwaukee Brewers at age 33, who they got from Seattle in a trade the previous offseason. Andrew Nardi finishes 4th, and Max Meyer finishes 5th. And it's looking like both these guys are not going to be on our roster this season because they've just kind of been overlapped in our system. Nardi has put together 3 good seasons for us, but he does have 2 option years, but he wants $3.2 million, and I just decided that I don't think he's really worth it. Maybe we decide to change that because now that we have a little bit of spending money, but I feel like we have a bunch of arms that we like who are comparable, and I don't think we're going to bring back Nardi. And same with Max Meyer, who wants like $5 million to come back as a guy who only has 2 pitches now, has not reached his full potential, and has just kind of gotten lucky last season with a ton of innings and a low BABIP. The FIP was not anything impressive, so, they both finished top 5 in rookie and reliever of the year, but whatever. And then the American League, it is Robert Garcia of the Texas Rangers dethroning Duran, who won it the past 2 seasons. 31-year-old Robert Garcia in his 3rd season in Texas puts together a 3-WAR season. A very, very good year for him. Strikes at 35.9% of batters faced. Just elite stuff from him. You got Mason Miller of the Baltimore Orioles on this list, who they apparently traded for this past offseason. Put together a decent year for them. And then we actually had ourselves a couple Gold Glove winners as well, as Michael King gets Gold Glove at pitcher. Did not have his best pitching season for us. He did rebound towards the end of the season, but overall had a bit of a down year compared to his previous season with us. And, still was a decent player, and then also fielded his position well enough to get Gold Glove at that position. And then it was also left field. Luis Robert Jr. gets the Gold Glove in left field, now a Minnesota Twin, but wins the award with us, obviously, for his 3-WAR season. And then there you have the American League Gold Glove winners. Once again, I don't really care too much about that, but just so you can see them, there are the winners. I should also mention that we did make 2 waiver claims, pitchers that were available that I thought were just too good not to claim. So we DFA'd Cody Funderburk and Brian Hudson, who we were not going to bring back anyways. So they are now no longer on the 40-man and not going to be offered a contract. They will be non-tendered. And we claimed Skylar Hales from the Texas Rangers, who had been waived a couple times, I believe. I guess just one time. He was waived by the Texas Rangers. He was a 4th-round pick by them in 2023 out of Santa Clara. Shout out Burns. I claimed this guy last year with I don't know if I claimed for him or traded for him, but I did pick up this player at some point last season with the Angels. He never really panned out for us, but this profile is just too good to ignore, so we claimed him. He's got 2 option years left. I don't know why they waived him, but like I always say, once a player hits like 25, if they get waived, that's free game, man. That is, I will jump on that as I see fit. If the AI does some weird shit where they're trying to waive a guy who's 22, I feel kind of scummy about that, so I never claim those guys. But once you hit like 25 years old, especially 26, I'm jumping on a claim like that. So Skylar Hayes is now a member of the Florida Marlins here with 2 options. And then we also claimed Mason Thompson, who was waived by the St. Louis Cardinals after they signed him to a minor league contract because he was released by the Boston Red Sox after putting up a subpar season with them. He wasn't even that bad. He had a good ERA, slightly worse than league average FIP. But overall, he was fine. They released him. The Cardinals picked him up. He was not good. And then they DFA'd him, and then we claimed him. He also has 1 option year, So he's flexible in that regard. He's making less than $1 million. I figured he was worth giving a shot to for one season as a guy who looks like he could be a decent reliever to add to the mix. And then, like I keep saying, especially now that we've added all these trade players who are making league minimum or less than $1 million and all these waiver guys, all these 4 dudes are just definitely on their way out because, as I've talked about, they just want too much money for my liking. Hudson and Funderburk were like kind of, possibly would have brought back, but Hudson has no options, whereas Funderburk had a down year for us, and he has no options as well. So both of them have no options, and we just felt like we could do better than them. So we get some more flexible players. These 4 guys are going to get non-tendered, and one thing that I still need to make a decision on, as it's coming up here on the arbitration hearings and free agency filings, is Sean Manaea. You can see here he made $22 million for us this past season, coming off a 3-WAR year, 3.6 WAR. He was in top 5, I believe, he got votes for the Cy Young. And he was just really, really solid for us the past 2 seasons. Steady player. I'm not totally opposed to bringing him back on like a cheaper deal, but the thing is, he currently wants $20 million flat over 3 years. So the fact that he wants 3 years is making me be like, okay, maybe we could give him a QO. We could submit a QO for him, and he would decline that, and then we would get a draft pick if he walks. But I'm also kind of hesitant to do this because, if we go here and we go 1 year, for example, he also wants a no trade clause, which is just not happening. What happens if I drop him down to like 1 year, $15 million? He does not want that. What about 1 year, 18.8? He does not want that. What about 1 year, 19.8 with no trade clause? He does not. Okay, so he doesn't want anything like that. He wants multiple years. So I'm kind of leaning submitting a QO and trying to get a draft pick for him. I think that's just the smart move here, and if he accepts it, it's not the end of the world. He's still making less than he did this previous season. We did trade away Robert to free up like $20 million, but I think he's not going to accept it, even though he's going to be 36 soon. It doesn't seem like he's going to accept this QO, so I think we're going to do that. Right now, we have like $49.5 million in total money available, so I think we're leaning submitting a QO and just hoping he declines it. Obviously, we're not going to give one to Anthony Bender. We can't give one to any of these guys. We also still have to resign a couple of these guys. So Avina, get an extension, please. Quebec, get an extension, please. And then Curtis Mead is a guy who we would have to give an extension to. And I think we're leaning towards not doing that because we already have a bunch of first basemen that we like. Like, obviously, we're going to be starting De Los Santos, it looks like, at first base. We still have Paulie in the system who, could bounce back if we need him to. We have some other guys we could possibly play at first base. I even like Ronnie Simon's bat. We have PJ Morlando now, who's kind of bursted onto the scene here. Jacob Berry is an interesting player. Why is this sorted by potential? We have Nathan Martorella even, who's like a similar bat. Not similar, but he's a decent enough bat that you could look at and give time at first base to. Maybe even somebody like Cam Clayton could possibly learn first base. One of these outfielders even. So I think that signing Curtis Mead to a major league deal would be something that we could do, but also at the same time, do we really want to? And I'm also just now realizing that Mason Thompson is an expiring free agent. I'm an idiot. I didn't realize that he was an expiring free agent, so we claimed him. And I guess we could extend him for 1 year. Because at least he's, he would want a similar amount of money that Hudson or Funderburk would want. Now the thing is, he's a right-hander, and one thing that we are kind of lacking right now is lefties in the bullpen. So it's basically Jalen Nolan as our best lefty in the bullpen right now. When it comes to guys in AAA, lefties would be like Dax Fulton. Could be a lefty who comes up at some point. But we could definitely still use a lefty. So honestly, now that I'm looking at that, maybe we should just extend Andrew Nardi for a year and see if we could squeeze another productive season out of him where he, like, outplays his ratings to where he has 45 home runs allowed, 45 control. Because he's been a really good pitcher for us. Back-to-back sub-2 WAR seasons, or not 2 WAR, sub-2 ERA seasons. Obviously, 2026, he had just like an all-time low BABIP. But he's been good for us. He's a World Series champion. The thing is, he wants $3.2 million, like that. We could give him 3.2, which I feel like we could get a comparable reliever in free agency for less money than that. We could probably even get him for less money than that if we just let him walk and see what the market is like. So I don't think we're going to make any quick decisions here, and I do think we are not going to re-sign Mason Thompson. You know, I goofed and claimed him because I didn't realize he was an expiring free agent. But yeah, so we're going to let all these guys walk. We're going to QO Sean Manaea, and we'll see what's out there in free agency. And boom, there we go. Sean Manaea has indeed declined his QO. He will become a free agent, and we will get a draft pick when he signs with somebody else. All right, folks, are you ready to go over this massive international free agency class we had this season? We just had a lot of guys that we were able to go out and pick up at very low prices that I thought were solid players that we just added to the mix here. So we'll start things off sort of by potential. We'll just get all these guys scouted, might as well. But, you know, some of these guys don't have full scouting. Solano does have very high, but the rest of these guys, you know, these ratings are subject to change, as well as just the fact that they are teenagers, so who knows what happens, you know, like a couple weeks from now. But we'll start things off with Gustavo Rico, the best potential player we got. Looks like he could be an absolutely insane lefty reliever with just elite stuff, movement, fastball slider combo, 75 potential, really, really good adaptability, work ethic, baseball IQ. He's got the holy trifecta there for the personality. We only got him for $2.4 million. He was like the most expensive guy we got. This was Gustavo Rico, this Dominican reliever. Then we also got this German catcher who's probably more of a first baseman. I have no idea what this guy's first name is. I don't speak German. I don't know if this is a common German name. Kummer? Something like that. I don't know. Skender here is a German catcher, 16 years old. Looks like he could have a seriously good power bat. Definitely more of a first baseman, DH type. But, you know, the bat was interesting. He's German. We went for him, and we got him for $440,000. Very cheap. Then we took Raul Sotelo, another reliever, this time a right-hander who could possibly throw 100-plus miles an hour. He is 17 out of Venezuela. We took him for $150,000. Total bargain bin. Kyoji Wada, Japanese lefty guy, 16 years old, really good contact bat, could possibly have a decent gap power and 45 power to go along with it. Doesn't really have a positional home, but interesting that, and we only got him for $280,000. Then we grabbed Jordan Benavides, a 16-year-old from the Dominican Republic who looks like he could have an interesting bat. He was signed for $160,000. Then we had Gustavo Monzon, who is a Venezuelan infielder. Definitely not a shortstop, definitely more of a third, second baseman, more so third baseman. Looks like he could have an interesting bat. We signed him for $800,000 flat. Then we had Luis Solano, a 17-year-old reliever out of Nicaragua. He is a horrible personality, but it looks like he could be a really, really good reliever if all this develops. Obviously, that's a big if with these guys, or even farther away than the high school players we take in the draft. But this guy was also very cheap, $140,000, just total bargain bin. Salvatorio Tuzzi, a Venezuelan infielder, definitely more of a first baseman. Definitely more of a first baseman, DH type, but 70 power potential, 55 BABIP with 50 I. Seriously good power hitter if he develops. We got him for $310,000. Then there's Fernando Pazzanini, Venezuelan Italian, 18 years old, bit older than the rest of these guys, but Looks like he could have a decent fastball curveball mix, really good fastball curveball mix with good stuff. And we got him for $160,000. Then there was Jorge Valenzuela, who is a Dominican infielder, decent contact bat, decent profile on the personality. We got him for $90,000, less than $100K. Then there was Prospero Cannavaro, a pitcher who looks like he could have a really, really good three-pitch mix with decent stuff and movement, but has no clue where it's going. He was just the guy we threw in towards the end of the class here. Hopefully we get some sort of like TCR bump or whatever. Who knows what happens with him. Thought he was just interesting to add for a very cheap price of $160,000. Then there was a Dominican reliever in Jose Gonzalez. Looks like he could be decent. He has high loyalty, 16, almost 17 years old, out of the Dominican Republic, a little over 100,000, and yeah, just had a ton of guys in this class, all of them relatively cheap. It was really only Gustavo Rico who was the expensive one, and I mean, like, look at the guy. You can see why he was the most expensive of the bunch. He's a reliever, obviously, but I mean, he looks like he could be like a Luis Carmona level reliever as a lefty. Alrighty, folks, we have reached opening day 2028, and it is time to go over what we did this past offseason, and then I'll go over what our 2028 opening day roster is going to look like. So, just a very quick run through of everything that happened this offseason. I know we showed it as we were playing it, but just a quick run through to have it all in one place here. We start things off by making a big trade. Derek Hill and Connor Norby get sent off to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Derek Hill's presumably going to be their starting center fielder this year. And then we just send off Connor Norby, who actually is on the big league roster for the Dodgers. And we get two guys who are going to be in our big league rotation, and then two decent reliever/starter, like depth starter options for us. In Hurston Waldrop is going to be in our rotation here to start this season. He also had a big dev boost, or just development boost through scouting in February. You can see here he moved from a 55 potential to a 60 potential. Was that because he had a really good spring, perhaps? 5 starts, he had a decent spring, really good FIP though, 2.5 FIP. So yeah, he had a solid spring. He's now a 60 potential. We're hoping he can really break out this season for us at 26 years old. And then we also have Bobby Miller, who is 28. He'll be 29 in a couple days. Hasn't ever really had a good season in the big leagues. So we're hoping that Florida is where he can figure it out as our 5th starter entering the season. And then there was Peter Hubeck, who actually is starting the year in our bullpen as a decent, like, multi-inning reliever sort of guy. And then we also have Peyton Martin, who is starting the year in AAA. And then we moved things on, and we traded Luis Robert Jr., along with a Marion Boyd, who's just like a whatever guy, who then they lost in the Rule 5 to Seattle, so he's actually on Seattle's roster to start things off this season. We got Cameron Cawley, Jalen Nolan, and Jacob Kisting. Cameron Cawley is starting the year in AAA. We are trying to turn him into like a super utility player because he has 65 range at every position. So we're just trying to turn him into a super utility guy who never really has that great of a bat, but could be a useful guy coming off the bench for us. And then there is Jalen Nolan, who is in AAA to start the season as another one of those starter depth guys, reliever, lefty, currently in AAA, like I said, really good personality class. And then Jacob Kisting is a guy who's starting the year in AA. 24 years old, bit old for AA, but he's going to start there, probably work his way up fast because he's a guy who has just been getting pluses all over the place when it comes to his development. So we're hoping that trend continues and he turns into a pretty decent player here for us. Then we ended up trading Liover Peguero, along with a 19-year-old prospect to the Baltimore Orioles in return for Cameron Weston, another reliever/starter depth guy to put in the mix. He is in AAA starting the season. And then also Judd Fabian, who is also starting the year in AAA as a depth outfielder for us, who can play all 3 positions in the outfield at a very high level, which is something we need here in Florida. Also, he is from Florida. He's back in his home state. Then we had a bunch of extensions here. Wilfredo Lara, 8-year extension, $46.25 million. It is very, very team-friendly. All of it is below $9 million. 8.25 is as big as it gets for the AAV. Or not the AAV, but the single highest year. Will Warren and Bobby Miller both signed 1-year extensions. They were arbitration eligible. Yuri Perez, we signed to a 5-year extension to an extremely, extremely team-friendly term. AAV here, I mean, the highest it gets is 3.65. And if he turns into what we hope he can be with these ratings, it's just going to be like highway robbery here on Yuri Perez. And then there's also Agustin Ramirez, who we re-signed to a 7-year, $103 million contract. He is sticking around long-term here. 3 straight All-Star seasons, coming off a World Series MVP. He is now signed for at most $20.5 million for the last 2 years. The 2 years before that are $20 million, and then 3 more years of team control here. These are arbitration years, and then it's 4 years of free agency. So Agustin Ramirez sticking through his age 32 season here in Miami. And then we also extended Christian Scott, buying out the last 3 years of his arbitration. Those are what the numbers look like, extremely team-friendly. And then Ronnie Mauricio to a 2-year extension, hoping that he does not put up a -2 WAR this season, obviously coming off the NLCS and NLDS MVPs this past postseason. We have bought out 2 years of his team control. He does have a 3rd year of arbitration. We will decide what to do when it comes to that point, but we do have him locked in for the next 2 seasons. Then, we went and traded Braxton Garrett along with CJ Alexander as they throw in to make the trade work to the New York Yankees in return for Jay Savina and Ocean Gabonia. Jay Savina, just another depth outfielder. We actually have him in Double-A just because we simply have a lot of outfielders. And he's just another one to add to the mix here. Starting the year in Double-A, like I said, maybe he wins the Double-A MVP at age 25. We shall have to see. And then Ocean Gabonia, starting the year in Triple-A as another one of these depth starter bullpen guys. Interesting player from Hawaii. We'll keep an eye on him, obviously. Then we offered the QO to Sean Manaea. He actually rejected the QO, so we do get a first-round pick because he signed. We get a first-round compensation pick because he ended up signing with the Boston Red Sox on a multi-year deal. They gave him 3 years, 18.4 AAV on all 3 of those years, but it is late 30s Sean Manaea. So he was very, very good for us. He even got some Cy Young votes this previous season in 2027, but we shall see if this run of like being a 3-WAR pitcher continues in Boston. And then free agency came around, and we were actually pretty active in free agency. We did end up picking up a first baseman. Isaac Paredes is now a member of the Florida Marlins here in a 4-year deal, total $60 million. Now it is very complicated because it has an opt-out, it has team options. He's going to be playing first base for us this season. You look at this guy's ratings and you're like, yeah, he's better than Davison De Los Santos on paper. He has 5 less power than De Los Santos, but then he has a really good avoid K, a decent gap power, and he also has 60 I to go along with it. Whereas just very quickly looking at Davison De Los Santos, you can see here, he's going to strike out more. He's not going to hit as many doubles, and he's not going to walk at all. The only thing he has on Paredes is that his BABIP is a bit higher, so he might have a higher batting average than Paredes does, but Paredes is, still going to hit a comparable amount of home runs and should theoretically walk significantly more and strike out significantly less. So he's going to be playing first base for us this season, and his contract is 1 year guaranteed at $19.5 million, and then it is a player opt-out. So we wanted to sign him to a 1-year deal as just kind of like a mercenary first baseman. He would not go for that. So I decided to do a little bit of contract manipulation to basically work it as a 1-year deal, to where if he opts in to his deal, we get 1 more year guaranteed at a significantly lower price at $13.5 million. And then there's 2 team options. I meant to make this a team option, but I guess it was a player option. I guess I overlooked that, but yeah, he has a team option and then a player option. So if he stinks or something, and when he opts in, we have him for 1 more year, and then we can opt out of it, and he goes to free agency. But if we opt into this year, then we'll be rolling the dice on if he opts into another year in 2031. Then we picked up 2 more players in free agency. Both of them were relievers. The first was Keegan Akin, who we signed to a 1-year, $1.85 million contract. He is coming off multiple good seasons in the bullpen with Baltimore, back-to-back years there, and then he had a good season with Philadelphia in 2027 in their bullpen. And now he's going to be a member of our bullpen as the lone lefty in the bullpen, at least to start the season. We are expecting him to be a solid presence for us in that back end of the bullpen. And then we also picked up a bona fide closer. We are not going to be rocking a stopper this year. We are rocking on a mercenary contract, Emmanuel Clase. He is here in Miami for at least 1 season. We only signed a 1-year deal. It is a 1-year, $26 million deal. He was asking for like 3 years at like 18 to 19 to 20 million. We bumped it up to 1 year, 26, and he is going to be on a mercenary contract. We weren't going to do anything else in free agency, so I was like, might as well see if we can throw our hat in the ring for Clase here. So we did. He's going to come in and just be like a dominant back end of the bullpen. Here, go out there in the 9th inning. You're the man. Close the game. Get 50 saves for us this season and just be the back end for us. So Emmanuel Clase, possibly an elite closer for us. We shall have to see how things go, coming off 3 very, very good seasons in the sim. Not quite, what he did in real life in 2024, but still, very good player. We shall have to see how he does here in Miami. We also got very lucky with the injuries in this spring training. The only injury we had in spring training was Emiliano Teodo, who has just never made it to the big leagues for us because we traded for him, immediately got hurt that spring training. Last year, spent all of it in AAA. He was okay, and then he had an oblique strain in spring training. And then A.J. Russell is still recovering from his second elbow surgery. But taking a look at our pitching staff here to start the 2028 season, the rotation is going to be Michael King, Ryan Weathers, Christian Scott, all returning from last year's team, and then it's Hurston Waldrop and Bobby Miller in the 4-5 spot. In the bullpen, it is Emmanuel Clase closing, a double-barrel setup action of Keegan Akin and Yuri Perez, and then it's Will Warren, Peter Hubeck, Jack Perkins, Skylar Hayes, and Josh Eknes in the rest of the bullpen. Definitely a new-look bullpen that we've had. A lot of new faces in here. Clase, Akin, Hubeck, Perkins, Hales, Eknes are all new to the opening day roster. Obviously, Perkins and Eknes got some time last year. Eknes was on the postseason roster the whole time, so I thought he earned the spot on the opening day roster here. But like Hubeck, Hales, totally new. Akin and Clase, totally new, obviously. Perkins barely pitched last year, and was not on the postseason roster. So a lot of new faces in the bullpen. We shall see how they perform for us. On the offensive side of things, though, it is the same lineup against righties and lefties. The only thing that changes is one person in the pinch hitter spot. Changes from Mac to Kaba on lefties, but then the lineup is Brooks Lee at second base, leading things off. Isaac Paredes at first base in the 2-hole. Agustin Ramirez catching and hitting third, Ronnie Mauricio DHing in the cleanup spot, Wilfredo Lara playing third base and hitting fifth, Kyle Tucker hitting sixth and playing right field, Eshedri Vargas playing left field, hitting seventh, Dylan Head in center hitting eighth, and then Max Acosta is hitting ninth and playing shortstop for us. While on the bench, we have Joe Mack as the backup catcher, Davison De Los Santos as the backup first baseman and DH, and then Starlin Caba is the backup second, short, and center fielder, where Drew Gilbert is the fourth outfielder playing the corners and then being the third option in center field. And then Mauricio and Caba are the third base. Mauricio mainly backup third base, and then Caba as like the, desperation guy to throw in that spot. So that is what the team is going to be looking like heading into this season. Take a look at the preseason predictions here. Oh, also, I should mention that Max Acosta had a hot spring training. We look at his splits here. He had a 134 WRC plus, 3 home runs, 3 doubles, 10 runs driven in, 10 runs scored. Really, really good walk and strikeout combination here. With the percentages, 873 OPS. He was really solid in spring. Hopefully that can carry over, and we could see some of that bat that he had when you first called him up in 2025. So now, looking at the preseason predictions here, The Baltimore Orioles projected to completely run away with the American League East Division, 105 wins. The Red Sox in second place with 84, 21 games behind, and then the rest just sticky poo-poo below 500. The Detroit Tigers projected to win the AL Central with only 85 wins, and then a bunch of sub-500 teams behind them. The Texas Rangers projected to win the American League West, with the Mariners and Angels behind them by a significant amount. And then we take a look at the National League side of things. Finally, we are respected. It takes a back-to-back NL East winning seasons and a World Series for them to project us to win 90 wins. The past 2 seasons, they projected us to win like 70-something and not make the playoffs. But now, back-to-back seasons, and now we are projected to win the NL East with 90 wins. Let's see if we can outplay that once again with the preseason predictions. In the NL Central, it is the Brewers, the 2 seasons ago World Series champs, the ones we beat in the LCS this past season, projected to win the Central, with the Reds, Cubs, and Cardinals all projected to be pretty spunky. And then the NL West is the Dodgers, projected to be back on top of that division. I believe last year it was like the D-backs who won the division. Somebody weird won it last year. I forget who it was, but the Dodgers, I don't believe, won it last year. I'm pretty sure they were a wild card team. And then, as always, no respect for any of our hitters or pitchers. Nobody listed in these top hitters or top pitchers. We will just, once again prove that we have a solid roster all around and hopefully try to overcome this 90-win projection once again and see if we can win the division here in the East in 2028. And no, I definitely did not almost forget to go over the programs. So, first one was Dylan Head did not improve his plate discipline, unfortunately. Eshedri Vargas, though, it says that he improved his current power by 10 and his potential power by less than 5. But I don't see an increase of something that big. I'm pretty sure this was like 45 before. You look on here, it says his contact went up. His power went up from 45 to 50 in November. I don't see an increase of 10 there in the dev lab, but, hopefully he does have some bigger power numbers this year because it says that we had an outstanding improvement for 10 improvement here, but I don't see that on his player profile, so don't know why that is. Summerhill did not improve his gap. Christian Scott did improve his current control by less than 5. Brooks Lee, it says that he improved his gap rating by 15, but you look at his gap and it's just gone from 55 to 60. Wasn't that already, or was it already 60? Yeah, he went from 55 to 60. So I don't know how that is 10 or 15 or whatever. Yeah, I don't know how that's 15, but that's what it says in here for whatever reason. Max Acosta did not improve his power. Starlin Kaba did improve his fragility, so now he is actually a normal injury-proneness player. So that's good to see. Yuri Perez was successful improving his control, but for some reason there were no noticeable changes. Even though he did, I guess it's because it went up on his own. Yeah, I guess the current control went up on its own. I could have sworn it was 50 to like 65, but I don't know. I don't know how that went, but I could have sworn there was improvement here, and that's why we selected that. But anyways, no noticeable improvement. Bobby Miller, no noticeable changes to his control program either. Same with Waldrop and the movement. And then we did the second set of dev labs for the defense. Agustin Ramirez did not improve his catching. Cameron Cawley did indeed learn left field. If we look at his positional thing, he's got, all over the place. He's going to be playing a bunch of different positions in AAA, trying to turn him into like a super utility guy, like I mentioned. And then Gabriel Gonzalez did not improve his outfield. Peyton Eales did improve his infield, so he's actually slightly more playable at second and third base now at the 55 range, error, arm, and turn DP. Isaac Paredes did not improve his defense. Same with Wilfredo Lara, Brooks Baldwin, PJ Morlando, and then Joe Mack. But then Cam Clayton did indeed learn how to play first base. So he's got a bit of an infield utility to his game right now. So now with that being said, that will wrap things up here for this offseason recap. We are ready to embark on the 2028 campaign and defend our World Series championship.